Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about fear. Fear is something that can really consume us completely if we not handle it correctly. If we don't start to identify when it kicks in and try to break it down, it can really make us super anxious. It can get us really, really stressed, and it can ultimately make us sick. So it's a kind of shitty thing. And I talked a lot about management by fear in previous episodes. And by that, I mean that managers, CEOs, bosses, heads of state, you name it, people in power, they use fear to control their staff, their team, the citizens of their nations. And it's a reason that they do that because when a large amount of people live in fear, they will not be able to create something new. They won't have the energy to challenge status quo. It's just more easier for the few people in power to control the masses when we are consumed by fear, where we have kind of given up. Like, yeah, the government is crap, but hey, what are you gonna do? That is like a typical response to you don't feel empowered and you just kind of give up. That is also a sense of of fear because you don't have the energy to actually do something about it. But I'm going to come back to that a bit later, but just going to start from the beginning. And so, what is fear? Well, fear is a fantastic phenomenon that has kept us alive over the years. Because if we didn't sense, things being uncomfortable and sensing that danger was on the horizon, we would have been eaten by wolves and bears, and we would have not, have survived at all. So fear is an alarm system that keeps us alive. However, we can't live in fear like constantly because then we get sick. And today, in the societies that we live in, we are still, worked up and scared of things, and get stressed about situations that is not actually life threatening. And that is what I'm going to touch a bit on, because when we get scared of something, what happens is that zip, our long-term perspective just kind of shuts down. And it served us well back in the day. If we were, cavemen and being chased by a bear, we focused on the here and the now. And spiritual people talk that we go from waves to matter. We get into our body. And we focus on surviving for the next couple of minutes. And when you're in survival mode, it's not like you're gonna innovate the next AI tool that's going to revolutionize the world. No, your body is just focused on being in the body and just surviving, right? So no room for creativity or anything. And when you are in that tight spot, everything kind of becomes a zero sum game. I've also talked about that before. When something is good for me, it's ultimately bad for you. There's not enough to go around. And hey, if you're chased by a bear and it's you and your friend, and the bear and your friend is behind you, then you're gonna be safe, right? Because he's probably gonna eat your friend. So see, there are obviously parallels here. And also, fear tends to multiply exponentially when there is a lot of people feeling the same fear. For instance, you move to a new village, and they ask you, "Oh, Charlotte, are you afraid of spiders?" I was like, "No." "Oh gosh, everyone's here, is afraid of spiders." And then I'd be like, "Shit! If I'm the only one not afraid of spiders, and everyone else who lives here fear them like crazy, maybe I missed something. Did I get the memo? Or are the spiders in this particular town extra super venomous and dangerous?" And then I kind of get sucked into that like mass psychosis of being scared shitless of spiders, right? So, well, maybe a silly example, but it just tends to spread that way. If one starts running, everyone else starts running, so it can reach exponential growth speed very, very quickly as more and more people join in and jump on the fear train, or how I should put it. And but then there's also a lot of situations where we get worked up and scared, like, oh shit, I'm gonna miss my train. But and then we get so sucked in and so paralyzed by the fact that we can't miss this train. It feels like the world is literally crumbling at our fingertips if we can't get on that train. And normally, things don't fall apart just because you missed one train. But this is what happens when you get in the zone. So a little life hack of not getting swept away by living in too much fear and anxiety and dread is to just be aware. Oh my god, shit, the train is going. I'm probably gonna miss it. And instead of going into that panic mode, which is related then to fear, because I'm feared that scared I'm gonna miss the train, because then it's gonna have a domino effect, a negative domino effect on the rest of my day. But just like, who, okay, can I influence the situation with the train? Well, not really, not at the current moment. Number two, if I do miss the train, let's put some energy into checking when the next train is going. Or will I still make my appointments? Yes or no? If no, me not attending this meeting at all, or me showing up to the meeting a bit late, is anyone gonna die? Just try to put things in perspective. I know it sounds silly when I say it now, but I promise, if you do this exercise, the next time you get really frustrated and stressed about something, just take a few steps back and ask yourself these questions. You realize quite quickly that, oh, it wasn't even the end of the world. It wasn't anything. I just phoned them up and said, dude, my train is a bit late. And they were like, okay, cool, let's reschedule. Or can you jump on a Zoom call and join us online? I mean, there's so many solutions these days. But still, we get trapped into that. It's now or never, or and the more we can just be aware of these things, the better it is for our health. But now I'm going to circle back to management by fear. Because what if that meeting you are now missing, your manager, boss, CEO, whatever, prime minister that you work for, have all of their people around them controlled by a state of fear? Because literally, you think that you are literally going to die if you don't show up, because there's no trust in the organization, there's no humility, there's no respect or care shown to anyone who had a bit of a shitty morning. So and that's where that layer of stress then becomes a bit real, because you could actually lose your job. So what I'm saying, that if you are in an environment where you identify that your boss has had that layer of fear put all over you and your teammates, and there's zero room for error, and it's almost like the person is waiting for something or someone to screw up so that they can make an example out of that situation in order to enforce their power even more. I mean, this is a toxic workplace, and you should probably strategize on how to get away from there. Or if there's like a whistleblower function in your organization, because if you feel that way, I'm sure that a lot of your colleagues feel the same way. And then you watch the board of this company say, yeah, we are going to be number one in AI, we're so cool on innovation. And yeah, right, no one would dare to walk an extra mile for that person. You wouldn't dare to iterate or take the road less traveled to spark that innovation, because statistically that means that you will fail at a certain time, even though if you iterate and then get back on track, research shows that you're going to reach not your goals, but you're going to reach further. But if the company culture that you're working in are based on fear, you and your team and your project will not even reach the finish line because there's not enough oxygen and compassion for you to create that trusting environment where your innovations can spark. So here we have a cool company, cool CEO, rock star CEO perhaps, but a complete asshole and promising the world. And then you guys sit there and it's like, oh gosh, how on earth are we going to do this? So this is not a long-term sustainable plan. And maybe in the past, it it could get away with it because then you would leave and then someone else would hire and they will be in the honeymoon phase for a while, creating a lot of cool things until they get a slap on the fingers and then their motivation dies. They are put in place and they will never dare to walk outside that box ever again. And then they quit. And then, so obviously, a company like that will prey on the honeymoon phase of everyone coming in, but it's not a long term sustainable workplace where you can build long term commitment, prosperity, and exponential growth. Because the only thing that will grow exponentially in that organization is the fear and that will paralyze everything. And that is why it's so important to move away from fear and move into trust. And I'm going to make a special episode, I think, on how to create these trusting environments. Because previously, in previous episodes, I've only like insected comments and thoughts about it in a broader perspective in on that topic that the episode was currently on. So let me get my head in order, and I will do a trust episode separately because that is absolute key to recruiting top talent, keeping top talent, and taking the top pole position on anything innovative and cool that will prosper and take us humans and our planet into the future. So yeah, serious business, I must say. So yeah, practice self-awareness the next time you're really stressed out. Take a few steps back, get that perspective, and move the heck away from toxic workplaces that is not having a trustful foundation because they're not going to last long anyway. So, ciao.